the glass spine. America's infrastructure is being stripped from the inside, and almost nobody is treating it like the national security problem it is. By Farrah Ferris, Signal Burst, Sassy Class Analytics. I am writing this from Oak Island, North Carolina, on a cell phone hotspot that keeps dropping. My Spectrum internet has been out since approximately 1:30 p.m. Sunday, August 23rd. It is now past midnight. The television does not work. The hotspot barely does. I cannot get on my computer. This is the story I am trying to file. When I contacted Spectrum's chat service to find out what was happening, the agent told me my account had been canceled. I have an active billed account. An hour later, a second agent corrected it. That is a documented Spectrum service failure. Inside the outage window, the company's own system could not accurately reflect the status of its own infrastructure. I am logging it here not as a grievance, but as evidence. As of Tuesday, August 25th, the outage has lasted nearly 2 full days. Spectrum has still issued no public statement and no $25,000 reward, the company's standard public response in every confirmed intentional cut case across the Carolinas over the past year. That absence shifts probability. It means the cause is either undetermined, not yet classified as criminal, or something other than a deliberate cut entirely, such as transport failure, hub failure, power loss, or multi-point equipment damage. A 14-hour outage with repeatedly revised restoration windows is compatible with severed transport fiber requiring excavation, splicing, and node reactivation. It is not compatible with a bad router. What it is compatible with in full is one of the most thoroughly documented and almost entirely ignored patterns of deliberate infrastructure destruction in modern American history. Here is what I know. Here is what is verified. And here is what a former Syrian Air Force engineer told me in the middle of the night when I described what was happening around me, because he had seen it before, not here, in Syria. And he knew exactly what it meant. The pattern Claude verified and ChatGPT got wrong. Before this article was written, the research record was cross-checked against Claude's independent artificial intelligence sweep. 3 corrections matter. First, ChatGPT identified what it called a date discrepancy in Charlotte, with one report saying Saturday and one saying Monday. Claude resolved it. They were 2 different incidents. The West Tavola Road fiber cut happened in May 2026. The Washington Boulevard cut happened Monday, August 3rd, 2026. That makes 3 confirmed intentional Spectrum fiber cuts in North Carolina in 2026 alone, not 2. Second, the law most cited in news coverage of the Moore County arrests never became law. The operative statute is Session Law 2023-47, Senate Bill 58, signed June 19, 2023, and effective December 1, 2023. It rewrote North Carolina General Statute 14-154 so that willfully injuring, destroying, or pulling down any telephone, broadband, or cable telecommunications pole, pedestal, cable, or equipment became a Class C felony, up from Class 1. It also added Class C felony injury to energy facilities with treble civil damages. Every felony injury to utility wires charge filed in North Carolina since December 2023 runs through that statute. Get it right. Third, Moore County and Scotland County were not 2 stories. They were one crew. 3 Hoke County men were charged in October 2025. Investigators then linked them to approximately $10,000 in copper stolen from a Kinetic facility in Laurel Hill, Scotland County. This was a multi-county utility theft operation, not a random act of vandalism. The numbers nobody is quoting together. When you pull the individual threads from AT&T, Brightspeed, and Spectrum and lay them side by side, a different picture emerges than any single news story provides. AT&T reported more than 630 copper theft incidents in North Carolina in 2025. In 2026, through mid-year, that number was already past 215 incidents, with over $540,000 in associated damages and costs. AT&T's North Carolina president, Trey Rabin, told WECT what investigators keep documenting. If you cut a fiber cable, you may disconnect hundreds of customers. Thieves cannot distinguish copper from fiber on a pole. They cut first and discover the error after the damage is done. Brightspeed filed more than 150 copper theft reports in Cumberland County alone in 2025. Nearly $100,000 in cables were cut across Cumberland and Moore counties combined. WRAL reported 15,540 intentional telecommunications infrastructure incidents nationwide between June 2024 and June 2025. 417 of those were in North Carolina. A Spectrum spokesperson, following the August 3rd Washington Boulevard cut in Charlotte, put the industry-wide number on record: 18,327 attacks on telecommunications infrastructure in 2025, a 59% increase over 2024. These are not anomalies. This is a national operational pattern accelerating year over year. The confirmed incidents form a working timeline. Charges are charges, not convictions. On September 4th, 2025, in Anderson County, South Carolina, intentional cuts disrupted services used by law enforcement, courts, government, healthcare, and education. Spectrum used unusually severe language, arguing such attacks should be treated as domestic terrorism. No suspect was identified. On October 12, 2025, in Southern Pines, Moore County, North Carolina, Spectrum and Brightspeed lines were cut on Old Morganton Road. Damage exceeded $50,000. 911 service was disrupted. 3 Hoke County men were charged with felony injury to utility wires, conspiracy, and attempted larceny. Also, on October 12, 2025, in Laurel Hill, Scotland County, North Carolina, the same 3 defendants were linked to $10,000 in copper theft from a kinetic site on Old Wire Road. From late 2025 through May 2026, in Buncombe County, North Carolina, including Swannanoa and Leicester, an AT&T investigation that began in December 2025 uncovered burn sites, wire stripping sites, and hundreds of thousands of dollars in cut wire. 5 people were charged, including Travis Warren Glenn, on felony larceny, injury to utility wires, and injuring property to obtain non-ferrous metals. On January 21st, 2026, in Pacolet, Spartanburg County, South Carolina, Spectrum fiber was intentionally cut, causing an outage for residents and businesses. A $25,000 reward was offered. In March and April 2026, in Anderson County, South Carolina, 2 additional intentional fiber cuts occurred within 2 weeks of each other. That brought the total to 4 documented intentional Spectrum incidents in Anderson County between September 2025 and July 2026. That is a pattern, not a coincidence. On April 17, 2026, in Pitt County, North Carolina, 2 men impersonating contract workers took approximately $25,000 in copper from an AT&T cell tower near Farmville. One was arrested while attempting to enter a United States Air Force base in Florida. In May 2026, on West Tivoli Road in Charlotte, North Carolina, Spectrum fiber was cut. The company believed the act was intentional. A $25,000 reward was offered, and the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department assisted. No arrest was reported. On May 11, 2026, in Charlotte, North Carolina, at North Hoskins and Mitchell Streets, suspects disguised as AT&T workers took approximately $10,000 in copper from poles. A barbecue smoker was used to melt down 30 pounds of wire. On July 6, 2026, near Williamston in Anderson County, South Carolina, Spectrum fiber was intentionally cut. The company called it a criminal attack on our critical infrastructure. A $25,000 reward was offered. No arrest was reported. On August 3, 2026, in Charlotte, North Carolina, at Washington Boulevard, Spectrum called the incident a criminal attack on our critical infrastructure. The same Spectrum statement referenced the industry-wide figure of 18,327 attacks in 2025. On August 4th, 2026, on London Road in Asheville, North Carolina, vandals pulled communications wires down from a utility pole. Buncombe County government phones were disrupted. 911 service was unaffected. The Asheville Police Department incident report was filed at 11:58 a.m., and service was restored by 4:05 p.m. On August 23, 2026, in Oak Island and Brunswick County, North Carolina, Spectrum Internet service was lost sometime between approximately 1:30 and 4 p.m. The cause remains undisclosed. There was no public reward statement as of more than 24 hours into the outage. The duration exceeded all documented intentional cut restoration windows in this timeline. The voice from Syria. When these incidents were described to a colleague, a former Syrian Air Force engineer with direct experience in military infrastructure, strategic operations, and what it looks like when a society begins dismantling itself from the inside, his response was immediate. They immediately reminded me of what I saw in Syria. Copper cables were sometimes stolen by criminals and groups operating outside the law, then sold on to other people. In some cases, those buyers were the very people who had encouraged the theft in the first place in exchange for money. The material could then somehow find its way back into the system, being resold to the telephone establishment or the Ministry of Communications. Then the institution would raise bills, services would deteriorate, and internet speeds would be reduced. That is not a metaphor. That is a documented economic loop he witnessed operating in real time. Theft commissioned by buyers, materials laundered back into the infrastructure system, and institutions weakened from within, while the ledger shows normal procurement activity. The theft generates the degradation generates the invoice funds the next cycle. He was not speaking from theory. He was describing what he watched destroy Syria's communications grid. His analysis of who is doing this in America was precise. Perhaps the people stealing or cutting those cables are from within, belonging to that resentful and embittered category, or perhaps they are outsiders who are competing with America. In either case, we are facing the same set of challenges: containing and developing the internal environment, confronting external threats, protecting national assets, and preserving the country's strength and prestige. The record currently supports the domestic theft hypothesis in every solved North Carolina case. Every charged defendant named so far is a local North Carolina resident motivated by scrap metal value. But my colleague's framework matters for a different reason. The two threat categories produce identical surface-level damage. A fiber cut looks the same whether it was done by a scrap thief in Hoke County or by something coordinated and deliberate. The evidentiary bar to distinguish them is a computer-aided dispatch log, a North Carolina 811 damage ticket, a forensic scene comparison, and a court record. Most of those records are sitting in sheriff's file rooms, not in the public domain. I cannot help but remember those fools who destroyed Syria for a handful of money. They killed scientists, burned property, and blocked roads. Those people are the real tragedy. The solved North Carolina cases suggest that the majority of what is happening here is exactly that. Fools cutting fiber for scrap that is not even there, because Spectrum runs fiber, not copper, and thieves cannot tell the difference from a utility pole. The tragedy is not sophistication. It is the scale of damage being done by the most ordinary kind of short-sighted greed, amplified by frequency, by the absence of serious deterrence, and by a legal infrastructure that even with Session Law 2023-47's upgraded Class C felony provisions was not written for a 59% year-over-year escalation. Spruce Pine is the choke point nobody protects. The conversation about North Carolina infrastructure fragility cannot be complete without Mitchell County. Spruce Pine sits in the Blue Ridge at an elevation most coastal residents will never visit. The Spruce Pine Mining District is, in practical terms, one of the only locations on Earth where ultra-high purity quartz, alpha quartz, refined to parts per billion impurity levels, can be sourced in commercial quantities. That quartz is the raw material for the crucibles and quartz glass components used in semiconductor wafer fabrication. Without it, the production of silicon wafers for advanced chips stops. There is no substitute at scale. There is no redundant global supply source for this specific material in this specific purity range. Hurricane Helene made this visible in September 2024. The flooding and landslides that cut western North Carolina off from the rest of the state shut down mining operations in Spruce Pine and damaged the transportation routes that move refined quartz to industrial customers. It exposed a single point of failure in the global semiconductor supply chain that most analysts had never considered because, under normal conditions, nobody looks at a small mountain town in Mitchell County when they think about chip manufacturing. The fiber theft pattern documented above runs along transportation corridors and utility easements throughout the same mountain region. The Buncombe County wire theft ring operated in Swannanoa and Leicester. The McDowell County incident involved 600 feet of live lines cut from a creek bed. The Yancey County case involved ongoing internet and phone outages from a cable theft near Highway 80. Spruce Pine is not the coast, but it is adjacent to a documented active theft environment. Its infrastructure vulnerability is no longer theoretical. Brunswick County is the regulatory seam. Back on the coast, a different kind of fragility is documented. The 1,331-acre Sunset Road fire in Brunswick County in 2025 originated from a debris burn conducted on private property on April 25th. The fire persisted underground and fully emerged 7 days later on May 2nd. Bobby Max Lowry of Nebo, North Carolina, was cited under North Carolina General Statute 14-140.1, a failure to maintain watch infraction carrying a maximum fine of $50. 1,331 acres were consumed by a smoldering ground fire. Mandatory evacuations were issued, and the legal consequence was comparable to a parking ticket. By the summer of 2026, Brunswick County and Oak Island were operating under documented severe drought conditions and elevated wildfire risk. Oak Island imposed a municipal burn ban within town limits. Brunswick County requested a broader state ban. The North Carolina Forest Service denied that request. State-issued permits for natural vegetation burning more than 100 feet from occupied structures, including land clearing burns, could continue. Brunswick County publicly stated that it lacked authority to veto those state-issued permits. The county expressed frustration with the denial. That is not a bureaucratic footnote. That is a regulatory seam, a documented gap between local conditions, local authority, and state-level permitting power in a drought environment, adjacent to an area experiencing a prolonged and unexplained telecommunications outage. The Quarry Road fire in 2026, covering 283 acres near Charlotte, was classified as a lightning holdover. It is not linked to any human action, but it burned in the same county, in the same summer, under the same conditions. What is being built here and what it needs to survive? North Carolina has 13 operating data centers and 49 planned projects as of mid-2026. The artificial intelligence infrastructure build-out is not theoretical. It is underway. Duke Energy's load forecast for data centers in the state has grown substantially year over year. The power and fiber corridors that will carry the computational weight of the next decade of American technological leadership run through the same geography being documented in this article. A country building the infrastructure of the future on a telecommunications backbone that suffers 417 preventable theft and documented vandalism incidents per year in one state alone is not running a sustainable operation. It is running a race on a track with loose boards. My colleague saw the board pulling happen in real time in Syria. His assessment of what it takes to stop it is not complicated. Today, everyone who truly loves America and is devoted to it has a duty to do their part, to dedicate their efforts and even their lives to the prosperity, strength, and continued leadership of this country. Because America remaining in this position is not only about American power, it is a safeguard for freedom, a safeguard for science and knowledge, and ultimately a safeguard for the very idea of a free and dignified life. His father used to say, "America is entitled to what others are not." Its institutions, universities, companies, and everything that carries the American name should remain distinctive, at the top, and a global mark of quality. The people cutting fiber in Hoke County, McDowell County, and Anderson County for metal that is not even there are not the primary threat to that. The primary threat is the institutional machinery that has spent 2 years watching a 59% annual escalation in infrastructure attacks without treating it as the national security condition it has become. What the record supports and what it does not. This article follows one rule. The record says what it says, nothing more. Confirmed are 3 intentional spectrum fiber cuts in North Carolina in 2026, per Spectrum public statements and law enforcement records. 4 documented intentional spectrum incidents in Anderson County, South Carolina, between September 2025 and July 2026. More than 630 AT&T copper theft incidents in North Carolina in 2025, more than 215 through mid-2026, and more than $540,000 in damages. More than 150 Brightspeed reports in Cumberland County alone in 2025. One solved multi-county theft crew involving Moore and Scotland counties and 3 Hoke County defendants. A Buncombe County AT&T wire theft ring investigated over 6 months with 5 people charged. Session Law 2023-47 as the operative statute, making the offense a Class C felony, while House Bill 808 never became law. The Oak Island Spectrum outage, beginning August 23, 2026, lasting more than 14 hours, with the cause undisclosed and no reward statement issued. The Brunswick County burn ban denied by the state, with the regulatory gap documented and official, and Spruce Pine Quartz as a confirmed global semiconductor supply choke point. Still open are the cause of the Oak Island and Brunswick County outage. Whether the Anderson County incidents share an offender, whether any connection exists between Paul Lowry and the described fires or telecommunications damage in Brunswick County, and whether the Carolina fiber attacks represent anything beyond the documented scrap theft pattern. The open questions are answerable. The Brunswick County Sheriff's Office accepts public records requests targeting 10 business day completion. The relevant packet is all computer-aided dispatch entries, incident reports, and 911 communications concerning fiber lines, communications cables, utility poles, downed lines, or spectrum infrastructure between 1:30 and 5 p.m. on August 23, 2026, covering Oak Island, Southport, Boiling Spring Lakes, Bolivia, and the principal approaches to Oak Island. Additionally, ask Spectrum in writing whether a North Carolina 811 damage ticket or third-party construction damage claim exists for August 23rd in Brunswick County. Theft cuts generate police reports. Construction damage generates 811 tickets. If neither exists, what remains is equipment, power, or transport failure, and that is a different story with different implications. The record will be updated as public documents become available. The outage, the pattern, and the infrastructure at stake are real. The cause of August 23rd remains open. That distinction matters, and this publication will hold it. Signal burst, evidence-based reporting on infrastructure, technology, and the systems that hold the modern world together. Farrah Ferris, AI for Sovereign Station.